Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Matthew Msengati, the designer and developer from South Africa. I'm that guy with the language that has got a lot of clicking sound. I'm a Xhosa, so I speak Xhosa. My language is Xhosa. I'm also interested on knowing what language do you speak. I only know a few languages. I think it's my indigenous language and English, and that is it. Without wasting time, let's just jump straight to the business. Okay, now I think at least you are getting there, you are leveling up, you are starting to get the vibe of this web design and development thing. Let's just change subject and jump straight to the front end. Let's talk about front end techniques, specifically Philantro UI, Philantro user interface. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is the code behind the scene. Let me just close everything here and talk about the structure before I go to the front end. Okay, this is the framework that I'm telling you about. I'm building my own framework. As you can see, this is the application CSS, the whole application. This is the application JavaScript, the whole application, and then we've got assets, logos, images, and then we've got Philantro is my own framework, maybe something like Laravel or CodeIgniter, but it's going to be a PHP framework. A PHP framework in simple terms is just a structure. Like if we talk of a house, it must be a foundation. It shapes the house. It shapes the house, yes, and also it determines how big the house is going to be, or not necessarily how big, because from the foundation you can see how big the house is, but I think it can also determine the height. If you've got a very small foundation and it's one room, there are no chances that it can be a double story or 3 floors going up. It doesn't make sense. So a framework is something like that. It's a certain structure of a code, a certain folder structure. As you can see that these folders are arranged in a certain way, and also when you are editing a framework, there are certain rules as to how can you edit a framework, and one of those rules is what we are going to talk about. My own user interface in this framework is inside user component, user interface component, like UI component. Okay, this framework follows the MVC pattern, model view controllers. I will explain that in a separate video, but for now we are going to talk about the front end. The first important thing is to know that the UI component, it's always here. So if you see the login thingy here, the login user interface, you must know here is it. As you can see, it's a folder. Okay, if the login is just pure HTML and it's a view, it's just pure HTML, why don't under the login we see one HTML file? Maybe in as in some other people's code, you might see if they are talking of a view, they will talk of an HTML file, or at least one file, because it's just pure HTML. But with me, I regard a view, more especially an HTML view, as a component, meaning that it's made up of other things. What does that mean? Okay, this view is going to take information and send it to the back end. What is the script that is going to do that? It's a JavaScript. Is JavaScript back end or front end? JavaScript is front end. So this therefore means when we talk of a login button, we are not only talking of HTML, but we are talking about a components of things that works together to make this functional. So meaning that as much as this is a view, it's just pure HTML, but it uses JavaScript to interact with the backend and also to do some interesting animation and also validation and other important things. So now I'm introducing a second component of the UI component, with is JavaScript after HTML, and then you'll find out we've got this arranged nicely and the words are bold, the colors and everything. What does that? It's CSS. So as you can see, in this UI component which I call and the login one, when you open it, you see there is a view, and in a view there is CSS, there is JS, and there is the HTML. Okay, as you can see, and then at the same time they are controllers. As you can see, remember I told you that this adheres to the MVC pattern. So let's go back to the view. Okay, this view, when it's rendered, what you see here, it's not a pure HTML page which was like this and it has been displayed as it is. As you can see, this is not the page that is being displayed. This is just a view. Okay, how does this gets rendered? Okay, this is how it gets rendered. A controller is being called. This is a controller. Okay, and then this controller, this controller, what it will do, it will load, it will see how does it interacts with the model. This is the model. The model gets something from the database. It will interact with the model to get anything that this interface might need from the database. This interface doesn't directly go to the database. No, it must first communicate with the controller. Where controller is, this is the controller for it, login controller. This controller will communicate to the database and ask for anything that this user interface need. In this case, when we put the username and the password, this controller submits the information to the backend and to say that I am asking for you guys, the backend or the business logic, to check for me if is this user a valid user. And then the controller will take that and then it will ask for the model. A model, it's still a PHP code, but it deals with communicating to the database, and then it will take that information and bring it back to the controller, and the controller needs to check if am I going to return true or false to the backend. So as you can see, this doesn't directly connect to the backend, but it goes through a certain channel, and that channel, it's an MVC pattern. Hence I've created this as a framework, as an MVC framework. So when you want to edit things here, you don't just edit things randomly, but there is a certain way of editing things. This makes it easier for us when we want to change things, so that we can only change a small portion of it, and whatever that we change doesn't affect the other layers. So meaning that if I can go to login and go to views under login, and then let's say for some reason I've decided to change this HTML5. Okay, let me first change the login HTML to T, login T. That means now the system doesn't recognize login T, because according to the way it is organized, it recognizes login. Then I take login 5, which was not recognized. Now I'm making it to be recognized as the system. So by doing so, I have just changed the physical appearance of the login system without affecting all the other parts of the application. So it's like the application, it's segmented. Let me try to load Figma. Okay, I feel like I'm going to draw some things here to illustrate some things. I think there will be a need for that. So let me load Figma. Okay, now I have changed the entire interface without changing without affecting the controllers and all other parts of the code. And that is writing a flexible code, a code that is not coupled together, a code that is not fragile. If I want to change the user interface and find out as a result of that I'm affecting the business logic, then it becomes a problem. Obviously, if maybe I have already changed the user interface, that means here I'm supposed to see a different thing. but in this case I still see the same user interface. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to my settings and erase my cookies. Settings and erase my cookies, or the other way will be just to use a different browser to open this. It's just to use a different browser to open this, because based on what I'm saying, we are supposed to see a different user interface of the login button, not the old one. If we still see the old one, then we just have to check what we might have missed. But based on how this has been structured, by changing this to T and the one that was 5 to log in so that it can be recognized, then we are done changing the entire view. Okay, we are done changing the entire view. Where is this one? Okay, it's still loading. Okay, let's just wait for that to load, and that is it. We are going to end this video here, and then in the next video we are going to get into details of Philantro UI, Philantro user interface. Also, when you are dealing with the front end and HTML, just get a habit of refreshing your cookies and clear your browser history, because sometimes you are going to think that things are not happening, whereas things are happening but the browser doesn't refresh, or maybe it has got some issues. So always make sure you go and erase your cookies. Let's just see here, it's still loading, and it looks like it's loading the same thing. And let's check here if it's still loading the same thing. Okay, oh damn, sorry guys, my mistake. After we are done changing the local files, we need to update those local files. Okay, my mistake. Maybe I'm a little bit hungry, but I have to finish what I have to finish, what I've started, because in the end you must learn something or two, and also by doing so I'm also learning something. It's not like you are the only one who's learning. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to go to our login page. That means we'll find it under UI components. Okay, double click UI components, login. Let's just replace the whole login file. Let's just replace the whole login file, and then also we go to our server. Go to our server, not classes, UI components. Double click on UI components. As soon as the UI components load, we are just going to take login, paste it here, and that is it. So where is login? I'm in classes. I want to be in user interface component, and then I'm just going to drag this login and paste it there. This will mean the swap that we did here, this swap will take effect on a server. As you can see, let's just drag login, drag it in here. I hope it's not going to get inside a folder, because I don't want that. Let's hope when it's done loading, it's going to update the entire login folder, and then from there we are done, guys. That's how easy it is to swap what's this thing, to swap user interfaces. So this way of thinking, it's more efficient. The MVC pattern is more efficient. It's easy to make changes and to update the system, instead of when you are changing a user interface and find out that your business logic changed and your database changed. If that happens, it will mean that you are writing a fragile code. That means your code is fragile. Okay, and that will mean your code is fragile. Okay, not a problem. Let's check here how I've updated this. Okay, let me just be sure that I'm inside login and in views. login in views. Okay, I've got login and HTML5. Then let me go here, login and in views. Let me just copy only these two. As you can see, it didn't update because on my left hand side I've got login T, not login 5. So here it still has login 5. So I'm just assuming the folder that I've dropped here didn't really replace this login, but maybe it entered under another folder somewhere. But let's keep on trying. Otherwise, software development or coding is just like this. Things don't just work from the get-go. You always have to move around until you get things right. I will also encourage you to get used to that, because if you are not used to that, you will panic and you will feel like you are doing things wrong. You will feel like you are not a pro. That's not the case. You are a pro, but software development or coding is like that. It has got many factors, and keep going and keep trying, and most importantly, keep pushing. As you can see, this is the effect. I've just swapped the entire user interface and the code doesn't break. Okay, let me show you on Chrome. And then also I'm going to use this interface. It's going to work well. Let me use it even here on a different browser. What was our last password? Was it Matthew with South Africa? It was John. I'm not that important. Let me just delete myself. It was John. Sorry, it was John, and the password was 900706. Let's log in and see. Let's pray and count down in 3, 2, 1. Boom, 0. Crossing fingers. Hoping, no, I don't want to save it. Hoping it will take us to the dashboard. If it does, then we are superstars. Let's just boom. As you can see, I've just swiped the entire UI for the login within some sort of few minutes. But if you've been coding HTML, PHP and the back end, you have been a victim of changing one little thing on the HTML and it affects the entire system. So please make sure that you adapt a certain way of doing things so that you cannot do that. Guys, let's end it here for now. Please do me a favor, if you are still new in this channel, just go to my YouTube channel and check there. There's awesome stuffs here. I've got cool playlist, and also if this is your first time clicking this video, this is a series of videos. As you can see, my internet is slow again. So okay, I thought it was taking time to even load like a plain YouTube channel. Then I was going to just stop this video and continue, but I can see that it's continuing. Okay, so guys, MVC, it's very important. It's a powerful framework that is used by big companies, and I'm thinking understanding the MVC pattern will position you for employment. Why am I saying that? If you know Laravel, it's a very big and stable and famous framework. Many companies, when you are looking for jobs, you will see on their job description that you must be fluent with Laravel or maybe other PHP framework. So it means that if Laravel has been built on top of MVC pattern, it's an MVC framework. That means understanding MVC and how it works, and also how to apply it on your own, that might position you for employment. Okay, let's quickly see my channel here. This is the guy from South Africa I was talking about in one of my videos. If you want to understand or you want to know what language am I speaking, Trevor Noah speaks the same language that I'm speaking, isiXhosa, with the clicking sound. Okay, I just want to show you what I have here, and that is it. Let me pause this one because it will make a noise a little bit. So let's just look at the videos so that I can show you. This is a series. It's like I'm showing you everything, what it takes to build an application, the mistakes, the errors, and everything. So when you've got time, as you can see, I'm sitting at 82 subscribers. If you can share my videos, that will help me to grow the channel. As you can see, at the moment I've got 259 videos. Okay, this is the series that we are busy with, advanced PHP skills with practical. So maybe after I'm done with this one, I'm going to load there are number 4, number 5, and number 6. So this is my channel. I've got some cool stuff here. Please do me a favor and support this channel and click the subscribe button. See you on the next one.